What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Moment Smack Talk podcast. We've got WWE Extreme Rules 2022 coming up this Saturday. It's another Saturday show. So we're going to do what we normally do here. We're going to preview the event in full, all 6 matches that are currently announced, tell you what we think is going to happen and our thoughts on all the matches, and so on and so forth. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango. Joining me, as always, is Robert DeFelice.
Hello, everyone. We will be discussing White Rabbits and many stipulations that may or may not lead to White Rabbits.
That's a good way to start things off, is to talk about the stipulations. So this is maybe the first Extreme Rules in about like 5 years or so that every match has some kind of stipulation to it. It's been a while.
I could not be happier.
This is what it should be.
Could not be happier.
I will say they fell into the trap that they've done before where 2 of the matches are just a no DQ match, but hey, you know, they rename it and they think that they did something else.
Well,
we do.
You don't know, because like Donnybrook could lead to tornado implications, you know, like at least you would hope if there's going to be no disqualification that they're not like tagging in and out like that.
At the very least, that should be a false count anywhere, but they haven't fully clarified that yet, so we have to just assume that it's not that case, but I don't want to assume any opinions about anything, so I want you guys to leave your comments below as well and tell us your thoughts about this. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree, whatever it is. If you disagree, you're wrong, but that's okay. And if you want to leave a comment below on YouTube in particular, that is great. That is a great way to help the engagement here. Also, if you want to hit that like button, if you enjoy this and you want to let us know, because that's what it's there for. And also make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. That way you get some updates on different things, and you can always see when our videos are posted up on there, especially if you ring that little email notification alert. And if you want to help us out on the monetary side of things, then you should check out the stuff that's over there in what I call the world of the Smarketplace. You got Redbubble and TeePublic for the merchandise options if you want to pick up like stickers or t-shirts or something along those lines. And you've also got the little thanks button that's there next to the like button. It's kind of like a little tip jar. And on top of that, you've got the Patreon. You got the join button on YouTube. Now, those are exactly the same. They give you access to the different tier systems we have, like the Darkcast and the Pick a Poison tier, where you can request something that we do on here in case you are missing out on, you really want an episode of One More Match or something, or an article about something, or maybe you want to tap into the things that I was thinking about actually writing up the other day. I don't know if I'm going to get around to it, but I was trying to think of maybe making a roster of the ultimate archetype kind of setup where it's like, okay, I need one of the like wizard kind of character in wrestling, and I need one of the rich guy like a Ted DiBiase, and I need one of the weasel heel, and I kind of thought about doing something like that. So maybe if you want to make sure that I do it instead of just leading it into the pile of drafts that I don't get around to doing, then hey, look at that. Pick a poison. You could always do that. So as we always say, anything that you do to help us out, whether it is tossing a little spare change our way, or if it is just listening to this episode all the way through, then you are greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for all that. So Extreme Rules is, as I said, this Saturday. They currently have only 6 matches announced, and I had thought that we would get at least one more on Monday Night Raw, but here we are Wednesday afternoon, and it's still just these 6 matches. The last pay-per-view, they decided to add something to the kickoff, which they haven't done, I think, any other time this year. Triple H maybe has a different philosophy of that, but I don't remember a kickoff match happening other than Clash at the Castle.
They had stopped, like, oddly enough, like even like WrestleMania didn't have kickoff matches, even though it was like 24 hours of wrestling.
And they had, what, it was like a 2-hour kickoff, so all they did was talk.
Right. So Clash at the Castle was maybe the first this year to have it, but I think you could see it again at Extreme Rules.
It's just odd that they haven't announced anything, because normally they do tend to have about 7 or 8 matches per card, and I don't think any of these matches are going to go all that long. I actually think some of them are probably going to be on the shorter side. So you would think that they would have at least gotten around to maybe one more, especially because there are some feuds that are lingering, like Johnny Gargano against Austin Theory, or they could have done something with Bobby Lashley, but they decided to instead book him for a match next week. And we don't have anything with Braun Strowman right now. We don't have anything with, say, The Miz and Dexter Lumis. Like, how is that not on this card?
Yeah, I have no fucking clue. Like, even if you honestly, as stupid as it is, even if you just did the birthday celebration, like, I would have just have liked to have seen something with these two, because unfortunately, that angle went from, oh, this is really cool, this is really unique, to this is a little long in the tooth, to, okay, we're full blown stale.
And I mean, the gimmicks behind these Extreme Rules matches give you a lot of leeway, where they could have done something a little bit, bonkers with the Dexter Lumis character, but they have nothing for it. So I don't think that they're going to announce anything on SmackDown. That wouldn't make any sense. They already
announced a segment for Monday. I don't think they're going to announce anything for Lumis in particular. But, Usos need a match. I'm all for Usos wrestling.
I don't think it'll happen.
Even if it's just like a token and they wrestle. I was going to say the Street Profits, but Montez appears to be injured. And it can't be the Brawling. Look, I guess they got no one. What can I say?
What was the number one contenders thing? It was Brawling Brutes, right?
Yeah.
So
and they fought on SmackDown.
They're already in their other match, so that's not happening. And then they popped up at NXT.
SmackDown.
Yeah. So that's. Are you
forgetting that the match already happened last week?
Yeah, but I mean, like, they could have potentially been like, and we're doing a follow up, because they do that stupid stuff.
Well, they could. I mean, honestly, do a cheesy gimmick to get Hit Row a match, just to like put the Usos on the card, because like, let's tell the truth, Sami Zayn and the Usos and the Bloodline are the hottest thing in wrestling right now,
and they're completely absent from the pay-per-view.
You know what's interesting, and I mean, I know where they're going because we have War Games coming up. But Damage Control is totally feuding with the Raw squad and Shotzi Blackheart and
Raquel and Aaliyah. But Aaliyah's kind of
not as
MIA right now
because Aaliyah's injured. But Shotzi's got her tank back. I think that's the takeaway.
It's kind of giving me a feeling that Extreme Rules is only happening because they said that it was happening prior to the Triple H regime. And that maybe
it's happening in October because realistically, I think it should always happen. If you're going to do gimmick shows, I think this is one of the better ones because, there's so much you can do. It's not like you're confined to one match type.
I'm not the biggest fan overall. I like the idea of calling like a no DQ match an Extreme Rules, like instead of them saying there's a gimmick or there's a stipulation, that they say we have these kind of extreme rules that we can apply to it. But I don't like the idea that it's just, okay, well, around this time frame, we're going to start to head towards a chairs match or a tables match, or the same thing with TLC. Like TLC, I'm glad it's gone, but I am more of the opinion of like replace this with No Mercy. And then you can add gimmick matches to it if you want to.
I mean, I'm also totally in the opinion of, hey, let's get rid of gimmick pay-per-views altogether.
Yeah.
But in the
outside
era
of Royal Rumble,
gimmick pay-per-views
and Money in the Bank,
I think Extreme Rules works. I'm actually of the opinion I hate calling Extreme Rules matches because it's been so long now that people probably don't know. But that was like their code word for, hey, we're not going to have every match be hardcore in the new ECW, but this is Extreme Rules because we're throwing it back. Mm-hmm. And I always just prefer the term hardcore. Of course, I understand why you cannot label anything hardcore
right
nowadays.
Especially because they never said softcore for anything.
But street fight, no DQ, whatever. I'm not the biggest fan of the branding of the matches as Extreme Rules, but I am a big fan of the pay-per-view. And I think that this pay-per-view, spoiler for the rest of this podcast, is something I'm actually really looking forward to because they managed to put logical stipulations on things, except for one match that I wish was taking place between two other people. And it's just a very exciting show.
I might end up, depending on how much time I have, which, I'm always on negative time, but I might end up just either tweeting something out or writing something up for smarkoutmoment.com about how I would categorize Extreme Rules versus no DQ versus street fight versus all those things. Might be a little small package article or something. But I'm disappointed in the lack of certain things on the card. Obviously, the bloodline I feel should be a part of things because I don't like this kind of a show where they're saying we've got gimmicks and isn't that good enough when we don't even have a like dignified main event. And
I'm okay. I'll say this: I'm okay with Roman not being on the show. I'm not okay with zero bloodline presence.
And there is a chance that maybe they add something with Sami Zayn.
Because like the Usos, like this is the moment where you could arguably be like, "Hey, we're gonna put the Usos against. Give me two like main event low baby faces, Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens, right? And be like, that's your main event because these are 4 main eventers." And you could arguably actually put the tag team titles in a main event scenario if you wanted to do that.
Yet they're not coming anywhere close to it.
No, they're not.
Yeah, it's feeling like a lackluster event in my mind. Just as like, as I said, hey, we have a strap match on here. We've got an I Quit match. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that good enough? And I've said it a million times. I don't think that these quote unquote premium live events should be treated as a regular episode of TV, but it happens to have this little bit of a catch to it. I think they should go back to pay-per-views being the best matches that you've lined up for anybody that says, well, then, you should be putting big matches on TV. Yeah, do both. You don't have to sacrifice one for the other one. Just do better. And then that everybody's winning. It's not you take a slice of pizza and you cut it smaller so that everybody gets a slice, but it's all super, super thin slices of pizza. No, just order a second pizza.
So
there you go.
slightly aside, but what really grinds my gears is people are adapting the freaking term premium live event and it's a PLE, and I'm like, don't do that. No,
I don't like PLE. It's a PPV, not a PLE.
Like it's so stupid. It's a premium live event. What makes it premium? Tell me what makes it premium. You can't tell me it's commercial free because you make me sit through commercials. So you tell me right now what makes it a premium live event.
You know what makes it premium? You have to pay for Peacock Premium.
You have to pay the premium, yeah.
That's what it is. So it's a better term that catches all instead of calling it a Peacock show because I don't think that would sell as much. Yeah, I don't like the PLE thing, but yeah, that's why I always say quote unquote premium live event.
I do really like this show, and I think that for this edition, you're going to get super optimistic me, maybe kind of meh Tony.
Yeah, I will say there's not a single match on this card that I'm actually really, really interested in seeing. I think there's potential for all of them to be at least decent, if not good. But there are half of the matches I think are probably not going to be anything I'm going to think much more about by the end of the night. And the other half, there's more potential, but maybe that still might not even work out the right way. So let's start breaking it down here. One of them being the I Quit match between Edge and Finn Balor that is revolving around the idea that Edge says, well, I never quit. Because even when I got told that I was never going to be able to wrestle again and I could die if I got injured and all these other things, I still ended up coming back. And then I got injured again with Randy Orton, and then I still came back, and then I got injured again, and I came back, and I got injured again and came back, and, rinse and repeat.
So, in theory, I really like this. Like, in theory, they've been feuding for months. They have yet to have a match, which is a little sour because I think, you build to and I quit. But in theory, the backstory's there. However, in practice, I still personally feel like, well, you just sort of said it 8 days ago and now it's happening. I'm also not super thrilled. I understand it, but I'm also not super thrilled with, well, this character is basically just Adam. And, I've kind of removed the veil of character because I want to scream at the TV. No, that's what Judgment Day was. You were getting into character. I don't know what the fuck happened. We may never know what happened, but that's what Judgment Day was supposed to be. Aside from that, this all but confirmed my theory that Edge's wife, Edge's children, something's happening here
Definitely.
that involves Edge's family, which will force him to quit for the safety of his loved ones.
Absolutely. He telegraphed that so much by saying, there is nothing that you can physically do to get me to say I quit. The word physically thrown in there implies that, but there is something emotionally or there is something mentally. And I highly doubt that there's going to be a mental thing. They're not going to pull some hypnotist act and he's going to Finn Balor's going to bring out a pocket watch and start saying you're getting very sleepy. Now you want to say I quit. But I think we are getting among the complete mess of extra people that are involved in this feud because we got, the Dominic thing and the Rey Mysterio thing. And AJ Styles is like, he's had no direction for months where sometimes he's feuding for the United States title and he's fighting The Miz and he's fighting Ciampa and he's like going up against completely random people like a Mustafa Ali or something. And then,
as weird as it is, I think AJ Styles this year is kind of proving exactly why you need an AJ Styles on your roster. Because while he's been directionless, he hasn't missed a step or felt out of place. Like, you can literally plug him in anywhere, and even if you're like, okay, well, there's nothing really going on here, you get the vibe of, okay, but it's AJ Styles and he's going to deliver. I think we'll eventually get to the Good Brothers returning, but that remains to be seen.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a mess here with the other parties involved all kind of, Dominic starts doing something and Rhea's there and then Ray pops up and then Beth shows up maybe. It's all going to boil down to something's going to happen where Edge quits so somebody else doesn't get hurt.
So, half funny, half being serious. We've already seen Seth Rollins break into Edge's house. We've already seen Dexter Lumis in recent weeks break into The Miz's house. So home invasions are like a thing that they do and just have a camera present for is what you do. Go to the big screen and have like Rhea Ripley terrorizing Edge's children because it has to be the girls. It cannot be Beth Phoenix. He's not going to quit because Rhea Ripley has Beth Phoenix in a chokehold. You know what I mean?
It could be that what, 2 daughters is what he has?
He's got 2 daughters, yeah.
So it could be something like, remember the shot of Seth Rollins just sitting on their living room couch or whatever it was, like the recliner or their couch. I forget exactly which one.
Yeah, he went in their fridge, took their orange juice.
Yeah, so I can picture that it's like, all right, Finn Balor's out there and it's just Balor and Edge, and maybe Damian Priest is there, maybe not. I don't think so, but it might be. Maybe Dominic's there, maybe not. I could picture a scenario where they cut to the Titantron and it's like, well, maybe this will make you quit. The 2 girls are there and Beth. And Rhea's there.
Yeah, and Beth has to defend them. Beth has to be, Mama Bear defending her children.
And it could just be that they cut, like they don't show the part that happened prior to that, so it's like she's already incapacitated.
No, but you have to show Beth defending the children. Rhea knocks her out. Damian laughs. Black out the camera. Okay, I quit.
See, I'm thinking more so Rhea's got Beth in some kind of like, she's like holding her back or something. And Priest or Dominic, preferably Dominic if they really want to make him like heel, is there like, okay, well, as you said, Mama Bear is taken out. Now, what are you going to do?
But,
kind of an implication that it's like, obviously he's not going to do anything to the kids because that would be absolutely terrible. But it's kind of like, there goes that protection point. It's up to you to quit. And then, obviously he quits and Finn Balor wins. And then he ends up going, I beat Edge in a I Quit match. And, the technicalities that come with that.
I absolutely feel like that needs to happen because Finn Balor needs to win.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, let's talk about the actual match aspect of it. I love I Quit matches. There was a time back in the day where you could have blood. There was a time where this match meant that two people were just going to bludgeon the shit out of each other. Like, just beat each other half to death before someone said I quit. Edge has never been in one of these matches, which is wild to me. But I'm really looking forward to the match. I hope that everybody gets involved because at this point, if everybody didn't get involved, I'd be offended. Because I'd be like, where's Ray? You've been doing this for so long. Where's Ray? Where's AJ? Where is everybody? That being said, there is also the alternative, and this would be really telegraphing it. If they show Edge arriving to the arena with Beth and the girls.
Oh, and they just bypass the idea of doing something at the home and they have them backstage, yeah.
On the one hand, I prefer that because come on, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, listen, man, lock your fucking door. And on the other hand, like, it's a bit skeevy, but I think you have to go there. So I'm going Finn Balor wins because Edge quits to save his children.
And I'm going exactly the same. So if it's anything other, it's just like, Edge wins or something, then that'll be a
like if it's
major shock.
Like Edge locked him in the execution while he was stuck in a ladder, I'd be very surprised.
And I don't think that AJ Styles is getting involved. If he is, it's going to be
that's
like
going to be Finn's feud moving forward.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the finish at least if it's the case.
Listen, everybody's looking at the bloodline, as they should for War Games, but, like, you got Judgment Day over here, too. You never really know what they might want to do for War Games. You got Judgment Day, you could have AJ, and the Good Brothers that I definitely think are coming. And who knows? I think Judgment Day finally got some direction, though. There's still a lot that I don't like about this story. Like, I think enough of people insinuating that, Dominic is being manipulated by Rhea. Okay, so, like, let's see Rhea actually do something physical
to manipulate him
that says, oh, wow, he's had some of Rhea Ripley and he just can't get enough. Like, that's where they're going with. Like,
that's the implication, yeah.
Like, in case him do something that says this kid, his mind is blocked. Listen, a lot of people have been there. It's a relatable story. It's just show it. You're not showing it, and I don't know why.
When NXT was doing that thing at the beginning of like the 2.0 era where they were doing really, really bad sketches.
Yeah, where they were just like NXT, like we kept saying, oh, wow, NXT's horny.
Yeah, this would be one of those things where they'd have like Ray would come home and Dominic would be like there with Rhea and it'd be like, hey, Dom, I need to talk to you, pal, or something. And then be like, no, I'm here with my girlfriend. Like, it would be so freaking awful.
Yeah, but it's like, do something that says, okay, this is why Dom is just completely turning his back on his father, instead of just being like, well, Rhea Ripley showed him the upside down, wink, wink. It's like, okay.
They should rename him Subanik.
It's like So that's one of those things I would like to see. But overall, the storyline took an improvement from, hey, Finn Balor's in the Judgment Day now, and they've been on main event. So I can't complain too much, and I'm actually really looking forward to the match.
Why is main event still being recorded? God damn it.
I'm sorry, damn it.
Well, we're both going edge on that one. Let's see if we agree on this one. Drew McIntyre versus Karrion Kross in a strap match, which they've yet to clarify the rules 100%, but there have been multiple incarnations of a strap match in WWE, not only just the idea of sometimes it's a Caribbean strap match, where sometimes it's technically a bull rope match, or it's a chain match, or the same variations that they did with some of the other things. But sometimes you can win a strap match by touching all 4 turnbuckles. Sometimes they have lights on them, which is interesting to let you know, okay, this one's active and this one's not. I've never quite understood exactly how that works, because they always do this thing where it's like, if you get pulled away from it, then it doesn't count. But then there's been plenty of instances in the past where somebody's been pulled to the middle of the ring, turned right back around, and then they've just counted it. It's that kind of bullshit where it's like the rule matters until it doesn't. And then other times you can win by pinfall, you can win by submission. It seems like it's probably along those lines, and it's just essentially, it's a no DQ match where these 2 guys are strapped together, which sounds even more erotic than many of the other things that happen in pro wrestling.
They're gonna have the strap on,
It's a strap-on match, yeah. And Scarlett's not even involved. But this is definitely a match Karrion Kross needs to win.
Does he though?
I think he does, because if he loses his he's only had
I'm gonna say this right now. My take on this will vary as to whether or not they make the distinction touch all 4 corners or pinfall and submission. Because if it's pinfall and submission, Kross absolutely needs to choke him out. I might even make the argument that if it's the 4 corners, Kross still needs to choke him out and drag his ass and touch all 4 corners. But I don't like the 4 corners gimmick. It's too cheeky for this type of thing.
So it works for some people. Like, I can picture Chad Gable and Johnny Gargano doing that, but not these 2, where they're like throwing fireballs at each other and whatnot.
The thing is, they always do the same damn thing. It's the Savio Vega. Okay, I think I've got him, and I'm dragging him around, and meanwhile, behind my back, he's touching all 4 corners, and I can just see them doing that. And I don't want Kross to lose like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that this is an odd stipulation to add to this feud to begin with, because this probably should have been something a little bit more along the lines of like a, not like necessarily last man standing, because we just saw that pretty recently, but something a little more forceful. The strap match, I don't know. That's kind of strange. But Kross needs to win. He beat Drew Gulak, and that's it. And it's not like he needs to go on like a crusade of beating people named Drew, but he needs to win something that matters to offset the people that still remember this terrible gimmick that he had before.
Yeah. And they've done a good enough job with it. I've already forgiven them for the fucking the helmet thing, Head
was a different guy.
it feels like that was 3 or 4 years ago.
The rehab stuff is still in the process, but I think that it's gotten to a point where people probably wouldn't bring it up a whole lot. I'm going to be the asshole that brings it up, but that's something that I still think that if Drew McIntyre wins, even though people would argue, well, he's winning because he lost the Clash at the Castle, so we're keeping that up. I don't think that is going to mean as much in comparison. I think Kross winning here cements him more as like an actual threat instead of just somebody who pretends like they are one. So I'm going Kross 100%, whether it is the turnbuckle thing and Scarlett gets involved, or it's just a choke him out and win that way. I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards the idea that it needs to be a choke out.
It needs to be a choke out. It saves Drew. I don't know what Drew does after. Well, he's going to War Games, but yeah. I was gonna say I don't know what Drew's doing after this, but he's gonna be on the opposite side of the bloodline in that War Games match.
I'm still thinking that it's Drew against Gunther at Mania.
Oh, Mania probably. But what the fuck does Kross do after this?
That's a tough one. Maybe Braun?
I don't want to control my narrative, Tony. Okay.
That's the only thing I can imagine, because I mean Strowman's got to land on an actual feud at some point, and I can see Kross being a guy that beats Braun. They're setting Braun up right now, then Kross beats him. I like that. He looks so much more powerful. But we're talking months from now to get to Mania, and that seems like a potential Mania match to me. So I don't know. I hope that they at least they have some kind of a game plan for most people at Mania at this point, but I sort of don't even know if they know what the main event's going to be. We'll see. But I'm going Kross. You're going Kross as well, right?
Of course.
A little bit up in the air when it comes to the Brawling Brutes against Imperium. They are having a 6-man tag team, good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. Why do they like this term?
I love that.
Why is good old-fashioned a thing that they've been saying recently? They had a good old-fashioned Battle Royal and a good old-fashioned Donnybrook twice.
It's a fucking Donnybrook. It's a good old-fashioned Donnybrook.
This match is going to be real hootenanny.
Yeah.
And then we're all going to get on instead of a podcast, we're going to have a box social about it. Old-timey fucking phrases.
Outside of that, it's 6 fuckers who can beat the shit out of each other, and I am looking forward to it. What else do we need? 2 months ago, we had Giovanni Vinci. Imperium was separate. What's going? Like, this is awesome, Tony.
And for some reason, Butch and Ridge Holland were on NXT last night, and
it's fight night. They
carried it over with Imperium, screwing them over out of the Pretty Deadly tag team titles, and Butch talked. So he remembers how to talk again. That's good. But this will be a lot of fun, I think. As you said, these 6 guys can beat the living shit out of each other, and I'm hoping it's Falls Count Anywhere just to differentiate it a little bit from the SmackDown Women's title match, but that's not something that they've clarified yet, so yeah. I could see Imperium winning. I could see Brawling Brutes winning. The match with the Sheamus and Gunther rematch is happening on SmackDown this week, right?
Yep.
So by then, Sheamus will have already had his second match, so that rules out one of the ideas, because I thought originally maybe this is to set up the Brawling Brutes win, and then Sheamus can say, well, since I beat you in this match, I want another shot at the title. But since they're doing this already, I am kind of assuming on Friday we get the match thrown out. And, Ridge Holland gets involved, and Kaiser gets involved, and Vinci gets involved, and Butch gets involved. And they just go, it's a no contest, or it's a DQ because Imperium starts first. And they start brawling and go, oh my God, these guys are brawling already. It's going to be even crazier tomorrow night on Extreme Rules. We'll pay for that premium live event. And then that'll kind of act as the Brawling Brutes winning so that they lose this match. I'm going Imperium.
I'm going Imperium as well.
And the Intercontinental title is not on the line, for anybody that's wondering. It's not like this is... Every once in a while they do that kind of a match where it's like, the belt's on the line, even if you pin somebody like Ludwig Kaiser. Not the case. This is just a completely meaningless brawl between the 6 people. Not meaningless. It's, bragging rights, but there's no actual stakes. Unfortunately. Stakes are good.
Stakes are good. Honestly, though, this match is great. I do love the idea that, like, even Ridge, even Ridge feels like he's doing better these days. Just everybody seems to be thriving, specifically, like, in the mid-card section of things. Everybody really seems to be thriving in this new era. The main event scene leaves a lot to be desired because Roman Reigns has kidnapped the whole thing, but the mid-card scene is really thriving right now.
And if you can hear the ambulance in the background, there is no ambulance match that is happening here. There is one that's going to be on Halloween Havoc, though. Apologies for the ambulance. They seem to want to remind everybody that they're not moving.
For those who don't know, Tony lives in the busiest city in the country and probably in the right dead center in the busiest spot in the busiest city in the country.
Probably, if not the busiest, the second. I'm not Times Square, but I don't know how noisy that is compared to my area. But yeah, it is what it is. So sorry, I can't mute them. Believe me, if I could, I would. But Brawling Brutes probably coming up short here. Edge probably coming up short. McIntyre probably coming up short. One babyface that I do think is definitely going to win is Bianca Belair.
No. No. Are you insane?
What? You're going with Bayley?
Yeah.
So this is, for anybody who doesn't know, this is a ladder match for the Raw Women's Championship. It's Bayley against Bianca. Now, there is almost a guarantee Alexa Bliss, Asuka, the rest of Damage Control, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky will
maybe
obviously...
Shotzi on a tank. We don't know.
Maybe Shotzi, maybe the tank, maybe Aaliyah, maybe Raquel, maybe somebody else. It seems like Damage Control is creating a lot of problems, and that is exactly why I think that Bianca is going to retain, on top of the fact that I think that they're just going to keep it on Bianca. But I'm imagining a scenario where Dakota Kai and Io Sky are trying to get involved, trying to, help Bayley win. Bliss and Asuka come out. They did a little thing with like Asuka being injured, so that'll be like, they can't quite get the job done. And then Raquel and Shotzi make the difference.
I think with the help of Damage Control, Bayley's going to tie Bianca's hair to the ladder. She will be unable to move. Bayley wins the ladder match and becomes champion. Bianca doesn't look weak because she doesn't have to take another pinfall, and she has all the excuses in the world. This gives Damage Control all the control, no pun intended, going into War Games, and it's just a great setup for War Games.
What do you think they do at Crown Jewel?
I think at Crown Jewel you probably do either another 6-woman, hopefully with 2 different women and not Asuka and Bliss. But I think you probably do just Bianca, Bayley, and a one-on-one.
To go back to my previous point about Extreme Rules feeling like it doesn't need to be here, I kind of feel like WWE is just sort of booking with this intention of like, look, we've got these 3 events. We really only need these 5 things to happen until January. And that they're in this like holding pattern. I think that they want to skip to War Games and they want to skip to Crown Jewel with the Roman Reigns and Logan Paul match. And they want to basically kind of do whatever they're planning on doing with, we'll talk about like Daniel Cormier and whatever. And then it's like, all right, well, Royal Rumble is the next thing that matters, but we just need to eat up 2.5 months worth of leading to Survivor Series. And I kind of can't imagine if Crown Jewel came after Survivor Series, then I could see more of a case where Bayley wins here. She's got the championship going into War Games. Bianca's team wins at War Games. She gets a rematch and she wins the belt back. But I don't think that we're going to get Bayley as champion here and at Crown Jewel and at Survivor Series. And then Bianca just wins the title back at like some random episode of Raw in December. Or at day 1 for that matter. I think that's too long. And I don't think that Bayley's going into Mania as champion.
I don't know if she has to go into Mania as champion. She should. She's owed that from carrying the company through a freaking pandemic. I didn't forget. I don't think a lot of other people had forgotten. Bayley carried that company. They owe her. But I think this is a good way to get it off of Bianca. And let's call a spade a spade. Bianca's been in a championship picture for like the last, year and a half? So like I think you can comfortably move the title off of her for now. I would also make the argument Bianca and Charlotte Flair is maybe a one of one in the sense of you can probably have them fight at WrestleMania in the same way you had Edge and AJ Styles fight at WrestleMania this year. They are the draw. You could say it's Charlotte and Bianca. They don't need the belt for that.
I think that they do need a belt. If they just said it's Flair and Belair, no title, nothing along those lines, I'd be like, why is this just, yeah.
But it's like, if you want to get into the whole discussion of equality and, women's wrestling and all that, there's so many useless, or not useless, but like no title matches at WrestleMania for men. Why can't you just do, hey, it's the 2 top women in their field that don't have a title, so they're going to fight? I'm not saying it's ideal, because obviously flares work better when there's titles. I'm just saying that is an option that you have. You don't need to have the Raw Women's title on Bianca Belair going into a match with Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. That being said, Charlotte Flair has stated in some interview recently she wants Bianca Belair in the Raw Women's Championship.
Right.
So
I see the argument you're making, but I also tend to say whenever they just say it's this person versus this person, unless it's a good enough feud, I tend to go, why is that? Yeah, there's nothing to it. Like, I want Matt Riddle versus Randy Orton to happen at Mania, but I think that that's been built up long enough that it's justified. But if they were to say something like, I'm trying to get a good example of somebody that's like around the same range, like well, like if we don't get the Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens for the tag titles thing, if it was Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, I would be like, hey, he couldn't have thought anything better, even though I'm a big fan of those two.
Like you mean like if Sami just stays in the bloodline and it's Sami and Kevin in a one-on-one match?
Right, yeah. Then I would feel disappointed in that. So I would feel the same when it comes to Belair and Flair. Flair Belair. Belt Flair. Whatever it is. I don't know. But the Bayley thing, you're going Bayley, I'm going Belair.
I'm absolutely going Bayley. I think if they don't go with Bayley, I think they've messed up. Listen, Bianca is fantastic. She's one of my favorite wrestlers. She's been in 2 of my favorite matches the whole year. And I don't honestly see her. The only match beating either of her versus Becky for match of the year for me in WWE is Sheamus and Gunther. But, Bianca needs to drop the belt. I think it will be healthier for her. I think she works better in the chase. You know what I mean? Like, I think this will be good for her. Also, before we move on from this match, how insane is it that this is the first time a women's title is being contested in a singles ladder match in WWE? Is that
That's
not
the first time?
insane? It's the first time.
For the first time ever?
It's the first time that any main roster. First of all, it's the first time any main roster women are doing a singles ladder match, let alone a singles ladder match for a title. I think that that's insane because you've done multiple 8 women ladder matches, TLCs and all that, and you haven't done just a one-on-one, hey, here's a ladder. It just shows the way that we skip so many levels these days.
How long ago was the first tables match?
For the women?
It was the tag team one?
It was 2000. I want to say it was 2000.
Like 10 or so?
Yes, it was 10. It was the same one where
like cool against Divas of Doom, I think.
Yeah, it's the same pay-per-view where Cena buries Wade Barrett with the chairs.
I hated that ending. Brings a table on top of him so that he doesn't get hurt, and then he buries that. It's so fucking dumb.
It was one of those. It was a different time, but yeah, that was the first women's tables match. It had to be a pink table with this weird drawing of like gold on it. Like the way that women have advanced in WWE, and I never want anyone to overlook that. Was the women's evolution shoved down our throats a little bit? Yeah, but it's so much better than it was.
Mm-hmm. There's no debate. Yeah,
and these women are going to show you why.
Yeah, I think this match is going to be good. This is one of the 3 that I'm like actually looking forward to seeing. The main one I'm actually looking forward to seeing is Matt Riddle and Seth freaking Rollins, which he has been saying he doesn't want them to continue to say that, but I'll say it. In a fight pit match with the special guest referee Daniel Cormier.
So, just to touch on your freaking Rollins thing, he said in an interview with Ariel Helwani that he talked to Vince, I guess leading up to Mania probably, about like, hey, can we not do this? Because he watched a clip and they said freaking Rollins like 10 times in the one little clip that he watched. And we can all relate to that where it's like, stop repeating yourself on commentary.
Mm-hmm.
So I can sympathize with that. But this match is going to be so freaking cool. How awesome is it that the Fight Pit is coming to the main roster?
Big fan of the Fight Pit. I like that they have, even though I don't really care about DC, I like that they're incorporating him as a special guest referee because that adds another extra element to it. Because now I'm kind of questioning. I had originally thought, okay, Matt Riddle definitely wins this. He lost to Clash at the Castle. It's a Fight Pit. He's an MMA guy. Rollins is not. There is no reason for him to lose. And then I'm like, well, he could get screwed.
You and then he could fight Cormier.
It could be Riddle and Cormier at Crown Jewel.
I definitely think Cormier is fighting at Crown Jewel, whether it's Riddle or Brock Lesnar remains to be seen. I think
or Rollins.
Or Rollins. I think like any three of those men can easily fight Cormier. Mm-hmm. I think this is a good cheap way to bring Brock back and then do a match in Saudi Arabia and then Brock goes away again without like ever having to have him involved in actual storyline. I think that's a good option. I think Seth Rollins can work with a broom at this stage in his career. And I think Riddle should showcase this more serious MMA side because, believe it or not, we're nearing 2 years of him just sort of mimicking Randy Orton and his moveset. So yeah. I'm looking forward to what this match will bring. I will say that before the announcement of DC, I thought this might be where we saw the White Rabbit, Bray Wyatt.
And we still might.
We still could, but I just thought like Rollins burning him, not burning him, Rollins, being the one to do that whole Hell in a Cell debacle with him, Riddle being so close to Orton, who did burn Bray Wyatt. I just feel like this could have been a good way to just sort of invite him in. He needs to be at the show, I think.
It might be in the McIntyre and Kross match.
You could do that as well.
It's not going to be Belair and Bayley.
It's not going to be Belair and Bayley. Even though one of those clues was Belair. Yeah. Side effect, because I know you're not, or not side effect, sidebar, because I know you're not looking at any.
It's not Matt Hardy.
I know you're not looking at any of this stuff. But how crazy is all this White Rabbit stuff that they got going on?
It's interesting, but I also think that it's a little bit ridiculous that they keep just tossing out names that aren't going to go anywhere.
It goes so far beyond the names, dude. I was making phone calls to numbers that are appearing in the source code of these images, and the phone calls are saying Belair in a distorted voice. It's like, this is... Somebody's having a lot of fun just flexing their creative muscles with this stuff. And, more power to them, because it's got people talking.
It's one of my least favorite forms of storytelling, though, when they just say, we're just going to have an unsolvable mystery because the clues actually don't lead anywhere. I highly doubt that there is actually some reason why Gacy and Belair and Malachi Black from another company and everything are being referenced where it'll end up making sense.
Well, I think the reason why Belair was referenced is because she was in the next segment on the show that night. The reason they referenced Gacy and then had Gacy on social media follow it up during the Grayson Waller segment is because of the comparisons to the original Bray Wyatt and Joe Gacy was getting it first. And who was the other person you said? Like, they're loose ties, but there are all ties to these people.
Aleister Black.
Aleister Black, I think they were just fucking with people. I think they just wanted people to go, Aleister Black would do this creepy shit. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's him.
But that's where I'm like, you should always go back on a mystery on a rewatch and go, okay, that set this up, that set that up. Like Knives Out, I've said before. If anybody is interested, Knives Out, it's a very good movie.
I still have to watch it.
You definitely still have to watch it. And I don't think that that's gonna play out all that much, and it sucks to say it because it's like here goes Tony again calling out a Bray Wyatt thing, most likely a Bray Wyatt thing, as being don't get your hopes up, and every time in the past that I've said that, it's ended up playing out like that. So I hope that I'm wrong, but then again, can you point to a single other Bray Wyatt feud that I've said I don't think you should get your hopes up in? So I don't think that it'll end up being the case here. I think that Cormier is going to be a bigger factor than the White Rabbit thing. I can see a scenario where Rollins is doing something, Cormier stops him, and then that leads to Rollins versus Cormier. And the idea being, well, we know that Rollins will be able to carry him.
Yep.
I could see the Riddle thing, but I don't think the Riddle thing is as likely as, funny enough, the Rollins thing. But I think even more so, this is their pitch to get Brock. And I don't know how they get around to that. I don't know if it's like,
who cares?
Cormier just pops up on a Raw afterward and goes like, hey, I had a lot of fun. And you know what? I decided that maybe I want to step in the ring. So I'm going to call out an opponent of my own. And I'm going to call out Brock Lesnar.
Well, there's a couple of things here. Cormier is, you could have this match main event, right? And then Lesnar confronts Cormier. You could have Cormier show up on Raw, which is the season premiere, which is in Brooklyn. That's a big city. You've already got DX and the Bloodline signed on. You could just have Lesnar show up. And I think it's smart to do this at Crown Jewel. Just like how I thought Kane and Lesnar was smart to do at Crown Jewel, just because it's like, it gets it out of the way. Just like how I think you're getting Roman and Logan out of the way at Crown Jewel because Saudi's going to pop for it. And you get it out of the way. And I think that that's how these Saudi shows are going to be used moving forward.
How many more do they have left?
Probably like 7.
Because originally it was 10 shows, right? 2 shows per year for 5 years. And they only skipped out on 1, I think. Isn't that true?
Yeah, I think so, because they were able to get back to it really quickly.
They had missed out on Super Showdown, if I'm remembering correctly. Or was it Crown Jewel? I don't remember exactly what it was, but so far they've done, I'm looking it up right now, they've done 8 events, if you count the upcoming Crown Jewel.
Cool, and there's only 2 left.
Maybe, unless they ended up, renewing the deal, and maybe I lost track of that. But I don't think so. I think that they probably would have made a big splash about it if that would have been the case.
Yeah, I to full disclosure, I hope they don't. I know every time these Saudi shows come on, there's a whole discussion about the morality around it, morality around watching it, but I hope they don't continue them.
And it looks like they are. Because reading a thing on here that they announced on November 4th, 2019, so right before the pandemic hit, that they have, quote unquote, expanded their partnership with the General Entertainment Authority through 2027.
Boo.
So we're going to get another 5 years worth of these.
All right, so never mind what I said. But yeah, I think Crown Jewel for a Cormier match is a great idea.
How crazy is that? They started this April 2018 with Greatest Royal Rumble, and they're going to go through 2027.
It's going to be 10
years worth of Saudi Arabia shows. It's people aren't born and then they're, 10 years old. That's nuts. But I am leaning more towards the idea that Riddle is going to win this match. Rollins has that match with Bobby Lashley immediately following on Monday Night Raw. And that's kind of strange too, because,
that's right.
MMA has a Bobby Lashley experience. Bobby Lashley has the MMA thing. So maybe it's even Bobby Lashley against Daniel Cormier.
I'd be kind of into that. I'm more into the idea of Rollins actually winning the U.S. title. We're in that era again. You remember when last time Rollins had to be a mid-card champion? Mm-hmm. When Brock was holding the title hostage?
Yeah.
I think we're in that era again. So I'm all right with Rollins beating Lashley on Monday.
Kind of depends to me. I want to know what they plan on doing going forward with some other things, but we could get Riddle Cormier, we could get Rollins Cormier, we could get Lashley Cormier, we could get Lesnar Cormier, but Cormier is the most interesting part here, despite the fact that I think that Riddle and Rollins are going to have a hell of a match. So I'm looking forward to this more than anything else. Fight Pit's cool, and that'll be different enough from the rest of the stuff too. So,
and it's like the first like new match in a long time for WWE.
They've only done 2 Fight Pit matches before, I think, right?
Right. It was Thatcher and Riddle and Thatcher and Ciampa.
Thatcher and Ciampa? That was...
Wasn't it Thatcher and Ciampa?
It might have been. I'm blanking on what that one was, though. I know, obviously, the Riddle and Thatcher one. But yeah, I can't remember what the other one was. Was it Pete Dunne involved?
I'm pretty sure no. I'm checking now. But speaking of, I love that Miz was like, and what the hell's Ciampa? What's he doing? I haven't seen him in like 2 weeks. So I popped at that.
Yeah, it's Ciampa Thatcher.
Yeah, that's
it up. You're right about that. So I'm going Riddle. Who are you going?
I'm gonna go Riddle as well.
And then I'm assuming our main event right now is Liv Morgan against Ronda Rousey, because Ronda Rousey's on the poster, but then again, it doesn't necessarily mean it's guaranteed.
Oh my God, we're ending a podcast with the Liv Morgan discussion. Good for Liv. Great year for her.
It's not going to be so great at the end of this, because she is definitely losing that title. There is no way she beats Ronda Rousey in the Extreme Rules match.
If she doesn't lose here, then where are we going with Liv? And where are we going with Ronda, almost more importantly?
The only way I can imagine that she doesn't lose the title is if somebody screws Ronda, and that leads to Ronda versus like Shayna Baszler or something. But I don't think that that's going to be the case. I don't think that Liv Morgan has ever really been booked as a strong champion to begin with. So look at it this way. I've written this like 1,000 times, so I'm used to repeating the same phrasing, but Liv Morgan wins the title with the Money in the Bank cash in, and she struggles to win it. So that's very much a fluke. Then she retains the title over Ronda Rousey in another fluke where she's tapping out while Ronda's being pinned. So not looking strong there. She has maybe something on SmackDown, I forget, where she ends up beating probably like a Xylee or someone. It doesn't really matter because it's forgettable. And she has the Clash at the Castle match with Shayna Baszler, who ends up basically wiping the floor with her in a lot of the match. And Liv Morgan squeaks by with by the skin of her teeth and barely retains. There is no way Ronda Rousey is not. Liv Morgan will put up a good fight, and they'll do that kind of thing, and she'll use kendo sticks because that's all they friggin' use. And after a series of kendo stick shots, Ronda Rousey is just going to have her mean face on. Yeah, she only really does the mean face and the smiley face. That's her 2 modes. She'll put on the mean face. She'll lock Liv Morgan in, and she'll make her tap out.
Yeah.
If there's one match that you can bet the house on, it's this one.
I want Baszler to help her. I want full established. Baszler and Ronda are gonna fucking beat the shit out of each other. I mean, like, not beat the shit out of each other, beat the shit out of the rest of the roster. They need to hold down War Games. If you're not gonna do damage control, which you could, but I think Ronda and Baszler would be great to establish War Games. And honestly, what's War Games without the Horsemen? You know what I'm saying?
I don't think that they're involved at War Games whatsoever.
Why not? They're perfect for it.
I think if anything, we're going to get Ronda versus Shayna at War Games. That'll be the title match. And then we'll get Damage Control. It'll be Bayley, Dakota, Io, probably Rhea Ripley. And who would be the other one?
They don't have strong enough heels. That's why I'm saying, even if you take Damage Control and Baszler and Ronda, there's a lot there. There's a lot there. Because Io and Baszler were in the first Women's War Games. Dakota and Baszler have the connection, and they have the War Games connection as well. By default, that means Dakota's got a connection with Ronda. The only part of it that would make a whole bunch of sense is Bayley with Baszler and Rousey. But you can easily go, water under the bridge, right?
I'm leaning more towards that other person. Instead of it being Rhea, it might be Doudrop and Nikki after Nikki turns. But if they split Doudrop and Nikki, then it'll be Rhea and Nikki, I think.
But why though? I don't want to get too bogged down in it because we'll get there, and maybe they'll do something great where it's like, okay, cool, we've been waiting for this all along. Because I think that Ronda absolutely needs to play a role in this upcoming War Games match.
I am firmly in the camp of it's Ronda defending the title at War Games rather than being in the War Games thing. But again, like you said, we'll get there when we get to it. I think that by the end of this night, we're going to have at least one new champion. I don't think that the Raw Women's title is going to change hands, but maybe it will. I don't know. And I think that this is going to be one of those shows that if this is viewed through the lens of, it's another episode, but it happens to have gimmicks like what they're pitching it as, then maybe it's going to be fine. Maybe it'll be great. I don't know. But I fully expect that I'm going to end up saying on Saturday night, it's disappointing that the pay-per-views aren't pay-per-views anymore. And that, we end up having 6-7 matches, whatever. And it feels like you don't need to watch it because the champions aren't there. And, well, I mean, 2 champions are, but the main 2 titles are being held by the same person who's not going to be on there. The 2 tag team titles are not defended. The Intercontinental title's not on the line. The United States title's being defended on the show after. And then all these other feuds, I'm going to feel like maybe Extreme Rules is half of what the card should have been. And I don't like when they delineate things like that. I would much rather them not spread themselves too thin. So I am looking forward to it to a certain extent, but we'll see. I am going Ronda Rousey retaining.
Ronda Rousey's
she's
winning.
Definitely
Ronda
winning
Rousey.
here. I think that's going to be the main event too.
Yeah, Ronda Rousey has to win here.
So again, as normal, if by Friday afternoon when we're doing the hot tags, they announce anything else, which they tend not to. It tends to be that, Friday night at SmackDown, they might announce something. Then we will address that there. Callum was not feeling all that great today, so if he is feeling better, we'll get his opinions about this pay-per-view card during the hot tags on Friday and get his predictions and everything. This will factor into the Fantasy League. So if you want to check out what's going on there, go to WWEFantasyLeague.com. Check out the latest standings. I hope that I'm still in the lead. And I hope that I make that gap even bigger.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to win.
Well, we'll see. You're not going to get any points for Roman on this one, it seems. Again. As soon as you get this guy, he ends up not participating in half the events.
Like that's what screwed me. That's what screwed me.
Yeah, that's the luck of the draw of 2022 changing frigging everything in the world of professional wrestling. But live coverage of this on smarkatmoment.com during the show. I'll have stuff up on EWN and BR as well. So go to smarkatmoment.com, obviously. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at smarkoutmoment. Check out everything else under A Mango Tree by going to amangotree.com or anthonymango.com. You will see the links to things like the Fanboys Anonymous content, which you can find on fanboysanonymous.com. So like and share and favorite and subscribe to all that stuff, especially the YouTube channel. And if you are listening to this podcast on something like iTunes or whatever else, Amazon Music or Spotify, give us a like there or whatever review system that they have going on, like 5 stars or something. I don't remember what they have for like Google Podcasts or whatever, but any indication that you like it, let us know. And if you go to my personal accounts at Tony Mango, then you should follow what's happening there. And, whatever I decide to tweet, probably going to do a little bit more tweeting on a regular basis. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Depends on.
They told me I wasn't good enough.
They want you.
They don't want me.
The Twitter space is something that I'm not the biggest fan of, but maybe you can convince me otherwise by tweeting back at me and making it a fun environment instead of just people being awful 24/7. But nevertheless, I'm all those places. Go and do those things, and make sure that you do the same when it comes to Rob.
Yeah, if you do want me, you can follow me everywhere at Dude Police. Maybe get my follow count up. Maybe say, hey, this guy, he's a real guy. I don't know why anyone would want to impersonate me, but if you did, you shouldn't do that. And you should also be on the lookout for dudefelice.com, which as of right now may be up before Extreme Rules. I got a text about that this morning. So we'll see. And as always, check out smartguymoment.com, including the Triple Threat, which is my contribution along with Dallas and Greg. We do the Triple Threat every week. Callum does the power rankings. So tune in every Saturday, I believe it is, to go see where Callum has everybody ranked. And yeah, we'll see you on Saturday.
Oh, on Friday, because we got the hot tags coming up next.
See you on Friday. That's right, because there are hot tags.
Yeah, so we obviously will take care of running down whatever it is that we need to talk about from these next few days. And we hope that you enjoyed not only this podcast, but the next one as well. So that's it for now. But until then, adios, everybody. Take care. We'll see you next time. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we are being counted out.